Hey, this is Alexandria Harris with Sis Take Care. And I have to say, it has been a rough week for these celebrity moms out here. And moms in general go through these same things. And the idea that Beyoncé and Jess with the Mess are going through this as mothers, my heart goes out to them. So let's talk about it. In a since deleted post, Kanye West calls out Beyonce and Jay-Z's younger son, the one of the twins, and calls him by a derogatory word for disabled kids. What's horrible about that is that we pretty much think Kanye's doing this for likes. Whatever his motivations are, why are children being used in your slander and using words that are absolutely horrible to refer to children, and especially those who may have a disability, is disgusting. As a mom of a child who's neurodivergent and is diagnosed with a disability, it's hurtful to see the kind of language being used like that, even if it is for a celebrity mom like Beyonce. What she does with her children and how she takes care of them is no business of anyone else's, whether they have a diagnosis or not. But to think that being in the public eye can essentially make it where you can talk about and slander people's babies in your language and your wording, it's awful. Also, the idea that if a child does have a disability and is not able to, or is not best for them to be in an environment that is sensory overload, that we could recognize that and have compassion, that we could recognize that and be thinking of ways to support them, support that mother and father, support that child, as opposed to using them for content, jokes, and likes, and using language that is meant to demean them and speak against them because maybe they don't do things the way that you might do it or the way that other kids may. And it's very disturbing to realize that people can still talk about kids who do things differently or who are different in the way that their brains are wired, that people can still talk about them in ways that are inhumane, that people can still speak about children, whether they are neurotypical or neurodivergent, in a way that isn't honoring to their gifts and their differences and the ways in which society does not accommodate them. It is very difficult as a mom who has managed those spaces in church, in concerts or kids-based concerts or activities at the mall, places that are kid-friendly areas, parks and playgrounds, to find things that actually work for kids who do things differently, that actually has considered that some children may need different accommodations. Now, I'm really proud of certain places in Atlanta that have made accommodations for children with physical disabilities and differences, that they may have greater access. And that is such a step in the right direction. As a mother, I'm always noticing those things. It is a whole other step that I can enter a space where they may recognize that the environment in and of itself is too sensory overloading for a child, or is not the right space for them to be all clustered up together, and for places to have spaces where a parent can care for their child, and also spaces where the parent can just take a breath to care for themselves while they're caring for their child. So many people say, well, your child just can't go, or you just don't take them out here. Don't go to these places. But my child, even if she needs different accommodations, my child is still a child who is fun and wants to play and interact with other children. So being in a position where I can bring accommodations to her, or that the facility has accommodations for her so that she can still actively participate and be a child who's enjoying life with other children, is very important. So when I'm at speaking engagements, sometimes you'll see me and I'll have my family with me and my daughter. Sometimes you won't. because we have to make judgment calls every day about what we expose her to and in what environments are going to be best suited for her. And the idea that someone can fix their mouth to speak ill about a mother who is guarding and protecting and nurturing her child in a way to keep him healthy and to do what's best for him, it hurts my spirit. It hurts my heart that Beyoncé and of course Jay-Z as the father would encounter that in this day and time. As a mother, my heart goes out to this mother, this celebrity mother, but a mother who is probably doing all that she can, all that she knows how, and learning new ways to support and care for her child. So, Beyoncé, hats off to you as a mother, recognizing that Blue Ivy and Rumi might be able to hang out in spaces where your beloved son may not be able to be, and making the right judgment calls about that and protecting and nurturing your child the best that you know how. And I pray that you continue to do so and that your children are happy and healthy. Amen. So now let's go over to Jess with the Mess. Jess Hilarious went on an IG rant offline. She's one of the co-hosts for the Breakfast Club, and she's a comedian. And she wasn't on air with her team. She was offline on IG on her own, channel, and she was venting and complaining about some changes in the format of the show, and a coworker who she is trying to now, she feels, compete for airtime. And I hear that as a mother because the changes occur because she went on maternity leave. And when she came back from maternity leave, there was a change, it seemed, or it has been perceived change that hasn't been clarified in exactly what's going on with her job. Now, people have said, well, Jess, the other co-host that's now being added, she's just better than you, or she's more thorough than you. Other people have defended Jess and say, you're funnier than her and no one should replace you because you're funnier. That's not even the perspective that I want to drill in on or that I care about primarily. I want to go back to the origin of the process. A woman has a job, has a contract, has been vetted, and is considered the best at what she does, is hired for that job, gets pregnant, works through the pregnancy, and goes on her maternity leave, her legally binding, federally protected, for now, praise Jesus, and hopefully for a long time, federally protected maternity leave, something that she's had permission to do and legal protections to be able to do. Every mother is legally protected to leave for maternity, for post-delivery and FMLA, and guaranteed up to 6 weeks to have a job when you get back. And when she got back, her job, in her opinion, has been altered and changed and in some ways put in jeopardy. Now, everyone isn't going to experience this on air or in a public setting like Just Hilarious. And people go through this every day, and maybe they vent on IG Live and, thousands or millions of people are not tuning in to see the way that Just Hilarious situation is unfolding. But women every day gone into their career and looked at the work that they do and had to make decisions on if they were taking appropriate leave for their health or for pregnancy in particular. And under the threat of losing their jobs, under the threat of being fired, not just losing it because, you're out from work, but being fired ahead of actually delivering your child. And in many cases, for several years, especially, at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, women would just quit. they became married with the intention to mother, they would just quit. Or they were told, well, I guess now that you're a wife, you need to quit. And then as time progresses and you get into the 1960s and 70s and 80s, becoming pregnant, you were then expected to come back right away, or you were expected to quit, or you might be fired because for lack of show up. So there are all of these ways in which women becoming pregnant changes their careers, changes their bodies, of course, changes the way that they live their life now that they have become a mother, but also changes the way that people perceive them for work, and has threatened their economic well-being, has threatened their titles or their prestige. They are underestimated many times because of becoming a mother. And sometimes this has led to many women not taking care of themselves or hiding pregnancies for long periods of time and not reporting it to their superiors or HR because of the fear of the threat of being undermined or having opportunities taken from them. So now Just Hilarious is hilarious, and she's a comedian. So maybe she'll laugh about this in 6 months to a year. It'll all be water under the bridge, and no one will even barely remember that it was this whole hoopla, right? Because all the news happens and it's just happening so fast, we'll forget about it. But I think about the mothers that are out there who are struggling to keep their jobs, are trying to get through a recovery period. It had to be fought for. Jobs didn't one day wake up and say, I think after a woman has pushed a watermelon through her vagina, or a woman has endured major surgery to have a baby removed from her via C-section, she might need a little time to recover, more than a week or two, before expecting her to get back into work. That did not happen. That's important because we don't want to trivialize or even laugh too much, hee-hee-haw, too much about the fact that we're watching someone who had a child and experienced the joys and miracles of life come back to a hostile environment. Not just from the people on air that she's working with, but the people behind the scene who have not, to her, according to Just Hilarious, have not clarified what's happening, what changes are being made, because it can come across for her as a person and to all other expecting mothers coming, your job isn't safe. If you have a baby and you step away to actually heal from that process and take care of yourself, your financial and economic future, your reputation isn't safe. That's why people don't hire folks who are already pregnant, because they're already looking at how unprotected that job title is, and they're going to be leaving, and that's such a threat to the economy. Why women in particular, go into job interviews hiding if they're pregnant, not saying what's happening so that they are not ostracized or barred from economic opportunities. This impacts a mother's ability to provide for this child and other children if she has them. It also is a way to keep women feeling like something is wrong with taking care of themselves, because their work has to somehow come first before their ability to care for their lives and the lives of their family. As opposed to thinking that in order for this person to continuously be a successful contributor to the work that they're doing, that they need some time to heal and actually prepare mentally and physically to be back in their work, doing the best that they can with what they have, and to show up for that work in a meaningful way. This is actually one of the reasons why I have been dedicated to full-time entrepreneurship since becoming a mother. So I think about the Just Hilariouses of the world who are doing the best that they can to carve out their zone of genius, do work that matters, be engaging, be funny, even when they're internally not having a fun time, but they're doing their job, they're showing up. and their journey through motherhood is challenged in their career setting when they don't get the care that they need in their career environments. I want to just acknowledge that that is such a difficult place to be, and praying for you, Jess, and your family as you all navigate the solutions around this, but also as a mother. And this is not your first child, but it's your first child in a long time. So as a new mother, again, the terrain is different than when you had your first child. And my hope and prayer is that you all are able to bond and have the relationship be the priority, and that your work will be something that supports your relationship, supports your vision for your life and your family, where it does not become the priority over the priority of you being able to build and love on your family. Our work, the work that we do, whether we're an entrepreneur or an employee, it's significant and it matters, but it doesn't matter more than our well-being, and it doesn't matter more than the families that we are called to care for and cultivate, right? Our work should be the resulting economic engine that supports the vision that we have for our loved ones, for our family. It supports our priorities. It doesn't take over our life to become the only priority, where our lives as women and mothers, our care and well-being has to submit to our work. But it should be the other way around. Our work helps to strengthen our ability to care for ourselves and care for the loved ones that we have. Like and subscribe. I don't know, whatever the YouTubers say. Click the button if you want to hear more comments around how do we navigate care for ourselves and get to a place where burnout is not our birthright. It is hope, faith, and love. And I pray that those three come into an intersection in your life with care. Peace. Bye.